All right, I know I gotta say yes,
Hmm.
but we are we are live, aren't we?
We are.
Okay, well, we are welcome to the BDSM podcast. This is Booze is there, Smoke and Meats. I am Professor Porkloin and I am here with my awesome co-host.
The meat Viking.
So Meat Viking, we are continuing our journey here in the United States and we have finally left the South slash Midwest and we are moving to the Northeast now.
Yeah.
Like the far northeast, because the next state here is Maine.
Yep.
So I think there's been a couple things. Now, have you ever been to Maine before?
I have.
You have, okay. So you can probably talk to a couple of things as well.
Hmm.
It's been a hot minute since I've been there. I think the last time I was there was like 2010. So it's been a while, but I have
You
been
you
there.
were in Maine more recently than I have been.
Yeah, 2010 was the last time I was up that way. Now I've had family members go up there recently. I've had family members live there for a couple years, so I definitely know some about Maine, and I don't think this would be a two-parter, but definitely could be enough.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
but let's see, what's the safe word for today?
So I think the only word that came to mind when I thought of Maine was moose.
Yeah, yeah, you got to
Because
get that
like
moose.
if you're ever up in Maine and you like get like your Maine shirts or your Maine like souvenirs, it's probably gonna have a moose on it. And then when my wife was in Maine, she was visiting a friend of hers, and they live in a small town. And apparently, a moose walked into like a store, and it made like the town news. And so I think of Maine, I think of moose.
Yeah, man, you don't want to fuck with those things either. They
Nah,
can
dude,
they can
moose will
stomp
mess you
your
up.
ass.
Yep. You
And
know,
even with cars too, like you think you can hit it like a deer? Nah, man, your car's gonna get wrecked.
right? Well, I mean, I think this just goes to show how absolute unit of a man that Teddy Roosevelt was because he rode a moose. So
That he did.
he did.
You got anything drinking today?
It is too early at the time of this recording, and we have not gone to the store to fill up our beers. So I will be drinking a energy drink this morning.
Yeah. Well, it's a little early for me too. Time of this recording, so I am having chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
Can't go wrong with some chalky milk, but
I got a chocolate milk story.
I don't know. Is it worth for this episode?
No.
Yeah. Might want to tell that story off air.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man, Maine.
Maine.
So, what are your first impressions of Maine? You've been there, obviously. It's been a while, but what did you think the last time you were up that way?
That movie theaters in Maine were movie theaters of the future.
What?
So we were in Maine, right? And we went and saw Public Enemy, I think. Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah.
And we while we were there, they gave you like a little buzzer, and they had like this little light up board on the side of the wall of the movie theater, and you could just order like alcoholic drinks and order pizza from that little buzzer while you were kicked back in the movie theater watching a movie.
So it's kind of like Studio Grill or something like that that has
Yeah.
the movie and everything, but you can also eat and drink and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And see, like, I thought it was a movie theater of the future because all the movie theaters I had been to up until this point in my life, you could not do something like that. And I was like, you mean I could get absolutely wasted and come here with my boys and watch a comedy movie if I wanted to? And or like, you know, take somebody out on a first date and then I could have a drink to get rid of the first date jitters while I'm eating pizza and getting to know somebody. Like that shit was dope as fuck.
That's definitely a way different experience than I have.
Yeah.
Now, I was a kid when I went up there, so obviously the first time you go in, you're like, wow, there's fucking nothing here. Like getting up into Maine from where I'm from, I mean, you literally just there's one road, one main highway going all the way up and then coming back all the way down. So
Yep.
there really is nothing unless you're over onto the coast where obviously there's a bunch of those harbor towns and shit like that. And then when I went as an adult, I still felt the same thing. Driving
See,
up to there, I'm like, man, there's fucking nothing up here.
I appreciate that because, like, I think of vacations like this. When you're a kid, you want to go and you want to be around all the people. You know, you think about spring break, and then the older that you get, the more you start to dislike people, and you're like, haha, I shall go to Maine where nobody can find me for a week.
Yeah, but even as an adult, I still like for some things, not like where I'm driving and I feel like I can drive for the next 5 hours and not see a damn thing because that's kind of how Maine is.
You fair.
It's like some deliverance shit, man. Like you
Yeah.
go up that way and you make
Yep.
a wrong turn, it's gonna be like, you ain't from around here, are you, boy?
Right. Do 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 do. Yep.
But
You hear banjos just start running.
yeah. Well, so we have to talk about some of the foods that are in Maine, and obviously one of the first ones that comes to mind for anybody is the association with lobster,
Yep.
right? And I mean, lobster, it's like 90% of um, the country's lobsters are caught off the coast of Maine. That's a lot, man. And like you would think that some of those lobsters, there's got to be put some limits on those so that they don't freaking overfish them.
I think you're right.
There has to be, but nothing it tastes better than a fresh lobster, like stuff that's caught off the coast there in the morning, and then you have that shit in the evening. So
Oh yeah.
I totally enjoy that. And you know what? The prices up there are pretty reasonable. If you go anywhere else in the country and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a lobster dinner, shit's gonna be expensive.
Yep.
But because it's such a predominant, dish up that way, it's usually reasonably priced by the pound. Now, again, it's been a hot minute there, so it's probably maybe a little off. But I think the last time that I was up there, I think it was something like maybe $5 a pound or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
which really isn't that bad because I mean, some of those lobsters you can get a decent amount of meat off of them for like $10.
Right.
So $5, and again, can't quote me on this one because it's been a hot minute, but that's still stupidly cheap than me going to a restaurant and paying like, $20 for a lobster tail.
You are not wrong.
But I think one of the cool things is that just catching it and you know where it's from too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're not going somewhere and you're like, oh, here's a lobster. I don't know where it is. It could be from bumfuck Egypt for all I know. But no, those boats literally come in the morning and unload all their stuff. And there's some towns on the coast there that have restaurants that are legit like right on the water, and you could see the boats coming in and unloading. And you'd be like, dude, that would be my lobster right there,
Mm-hmm.
or that would be my fish. Because um, we'll get to the next thing coming up here, but some of the freshest fish I have ever had has come from Maine too.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Um,
But
when I was in Maine, it was my mom, my one friend, and me. We actually rented fishing poles, and where we were staying at, we could fish pretty much close enough to the house and hit the water. And yeah, we ate pretty damn good. I caught an eel. That was fucking wild. So,
well, one of the thing that kind of leads right into this next part is a huge dish that's in Maine, and I don't know if you've ever had them, but it's a lobster roll.
oh hell yeah.
Yeah, so lobster rolls are dope, man. It's so cool to see that they're offered everywhere. Like when I went up last time, that was what we ate for lunch the one day, but you can get them in every restaurant. You can get them in gas stations. They actually have like convenience stores that sell lobster, and you can get them there, like any grocery store. It's just super cool. And you basically think of like a hot dog roll,
Hmm.
and they just stuff the shit out of that thing with lobster meat. Now, I don't know if there's a debate because every lobster roll I've had always had mayonnaise in it. Some people say that it doesn't come with mayo and that it has butter, but every one that I've had mayo in it, so I'm gonna go with that. And man, it just tastes freaking delicious.
No, you are not wrong. Uh, I was just thinking in my head, and I think I've experienced the opposite, where mine's been butter.
Really?
Yep. Or at least maybe it had mayonnaise inside the roll itself, but it was served with a side of hot butter.
No, see, mine have been like coleslaw, like stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it definitely had mayonnaise on it, and it was mixed in with it. It's almost like a chicken salad or an egg salad. You know how those typically have mayonnaise in it as well.
Hmm.
It's just like that but with lobster, and they usually put like chives and stuff on it too. But I could totally eat, you know, three of those things and be full.
Well then, yeah, it's been so long since I've had a really good lobster roll. I don't remember how big the portions are on them, but
And you just think of like a little bit bigger than a normal hot dog roll.
oh, okay.
Um, not I'm trying to think of what would be like a good comparison to that. It's not as big as like a hoagie roll, but not as tiny as like the Walmart or Kroger hot dogs. Something just a little bit bigger than that. And they toast it and make it all nice and crispy and whatnot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I could oh, man, talking about this makes me want to go get a lobster roll now.
Well, yeah,
Make my own
no.
stuff. But any seafood really is pretty much the good thing for Maine because I mean everything's off the coast, you know. So stuff like crab cakes, clams, um, oysters. I mean, all of that stuff is basically a whole entire thing of Maine food.
You are 100% correct.
So with oysters, have you ever had them before?
Oysters I stay away from.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Texture thing.
Oh, you don't like it, like the boogery, slimy feeling going down your throat.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a fan.
I don't mind them. I think it is actually pretty good. Throw a little bit of some hot sauce on there and let it just go down. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Now, I know that some people get sick off of it. I know some people don't enjoy that flavor either, but um, you got to eat them pretty fresh. You don't
Right.
need to have some nasty ass oysters.
Yeah. And where where my state is located, good luck getting fresh ones.
Yeah, I don't think I trust anything coming off of that lake where you're at.
No.
With that huge algae bloom that comes basically every year. I don't think I want to eat anything coming out of that lake.
Right. Yeah.
Now where I'm from, I mean, I can drive a couple hours and get to a dirty, murky Gulf of Mexico,
Hmm.
and I might have a better opportunity of eating some of that stuff, but ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, you would easily have a better opportunity.
Um, one of the other things that I totally enjoyed when I was up in Maine the last time is cod sandwich.
Okay.
Now, there is a place in Maine, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it's basically like a little shack. Okay. And this place gives you a huge ass piece of fried cod, and it has it's put on a really big hoagie roll, and it comes with chips. So it's not like a fish and chips, but it kind of is. Um, and man, that was probably one of the best fried cod sandwiches I've ever had. It's got the nice batter on it. And again, you know what? I always find that sometimes those small ass shacks or sometimes those small places that are barely enough to have a picnic table have some of the best foods. And I don't know why.
Uh, it's simple, man. Cheap overhead, better ingredients.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to worry about paying a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But oh man, it's I'm gonna have to find that and shout that out. I don't even know if it's still around, but I would think that it probably is because it's still, it was a little shack and for the price, I think for like 750, you got probably one of the biggest pieces of cod you've seen. So with uh with a cod sandwich, I have to ask, do you put anything on that? Like, are you all about the what kind of sauce is that?
Tartar
It's
sauce.
yeah, tartar sauce.
I do not care for tartar sauce. I if I'm doing like a fish sandwich, I'll just take some lemon and I'll squirt a lemon on it, and then whatever else they throw on it, be it like lettuce, tomato, stuff like that.
I like throwing a little bit of some hot sauce on mine.
Hot sauce works too.
See, the lemon, I never really enjoyed lemon flavored cod. I
Mm,
can see how it works with like shrimp and scallops and even lobster, but and just throw a little bit of some hot sauce on that fried piece of cod. I think that's way better than lemon.
yeah, no, that's fair. So, and
So
like a lot of places too, they also do like a hot sauce in their recipe as well.
yeah.
So, but cod is delicious and it's so good, just so good.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that kind of goes along with this too, and I don't know if you've had it, but a freaking clam bake. Did you ever have one of those? Like, did you ever go to Joe's Crab Shack?
I've been to Joe's Crab Shack.
Yeah, did you ever see their clam bake? It comes out in like a not like a Dutch oven, but one of those smaller ones. You basically have clams. It comes with lobster or crab, and then you have corn and potatoes.
Hold on.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I've had stuff similar to clam bake, but I don't think I've had clam bake.
Well, man, if you've had again, typically it comes with clams, lobster, or crab. Which again in Maine it would be lobster, and then you have your corn and potatoes. So that's why I kind of said something about Joe's Crab Shack because that's like the closest that a lot of people will be able to realize what a clam bake is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is also one of those meals that you will see everywhere in Maine. Um, and there's a bunch of different restaurants uh, that that do it. And man, you want to talk about messy but also delicious. It's that shit where you're gonna have to put the bib on
Mm-hmm.
because you are gonna be messier than fuck trying to eat all that stuff, and no one's gonna look at you weird if you're
Yep.
mowing down on that corn of the cob and just eating the potatoes with your hands while you're cracking open the lobster claw.
Yep.
That's not going to be out of the ordinary for you to sit there and be like, I'm going to look like a caveman.
Yep.
So,
So
uh,
like my brain like deleted itself for a minute, and then like looking at the clam bake, it reminds me very much of so it if we were to like Michelin star this theory here, like this is your 5-star Michelin star clam bake, but the the crawfish boils that I usually do and go to, it would be like a 3-star version of this because we don't have the lobster and we don't have the clams, but we pretty much got everything else. You got your
yeah,
sausage, your onions, your leeks, olive oils, you got your potatoes, salt, pepper, and what we're missing is clams and some lobsters, but we replace that with crawfish. So this is like the fancy man's version of a crawfish boil.
Yeah, you're right.
So, also, a fun fact: um, lobster in July of 2021 went up almost 20% per pound.
Wonder why.
The pandemic, supply and demand. So everybody was all those restaurants being closed down, and
Oh yeah,
everybody wanting to go out and celebrate and spend money. Well, lobster's a food that people will spend a lot of money on.
true. And we've mentioned this previously a couple times about how lobster and like crawfish and all that stuff used to be the bottom of the barrel for slaves, for poor people, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's become a delicacy. So people will totally eat that for whatever price they want to pay.
Oh yeah.
But there's another food we've kind of talked about before as well, and I guess if people want to go back to one of the previous episodes, and I can't remember which episode it is, but I mean we gotta mention briefly about the chowder.
That had been our soup stews, and there's another name in that episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, clam chowder is the most common one that you're gonna see up there, and obviously it's gonna be the New England style. Now you'd probably see some of that Manhattan up there too, but I think New England is probably gonna be your main one. So, listeners, if you want to learn more about some of the things associated with um, chowder, go back to our stews and soups and whatever other name we had there for episode, and you can learn a little bit more about some of that history and how that kind of is a big debate on which one's the best one. And I can't remember. I think you and I are both okay with the New England style, and
Yep,
that the Manhattan was kind of like, yeah, we'd eat it if it's there, but we'll
New
definitely go
England.
with New England.
So, for reference, that is BDSM episode 22: soups, stews, chowders, and fighting words.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
So listeners, go ahead and take a look back at that, but also know that chowder is definitely a thing for
superior.
Maine. Yeah, you're gonna see that everywhere in Maine. So, do you have any foods that you have saw in
So,
your studies there?
it's not something that I've seen, but apparently there is a hot dog type known as the red snapper.
Oh yes, I've had those.
What is your opinion of the red snapper hot dog?
You know what? It's actually pretty cool. It's different because I mean, normal hot dogs and sausage and whatnot, they kind of look, brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the hot dog, the red snapper, it almost reminds me of like a beef stick,
Yep.
So go ahead and what are your
So
thoughts on that?
this is something I haven't had. Um, However, I'm a little curious because they get their color from dyes, which is understandable. Food coloring's a thing.
Yeah,
But the
it's from the casing.
Yeah, but the casing is actually made out of lamb rather than a synthetic casing. And apparently when you bite into it, it gives a snapping sensation.
It does, and that's why I said it kind of reminds me of like a meat stick,
Mm-hmm.
because you bite into it, and sometimes that casing takes a little bit just to get through. And you kind of have that little snap.
Yep. So this is something I would try. Uh, I'm aware that they are a big thing in Maine, and I think you said that people who will like vacation in Maine and bring
Well,
back a lot of them because you can't get them anywhere else.
that and there's a lot of people that live in Maine, and then the older people go down south for the winter because it's too cold,
Yep.
and they'll take a bunch of those with them because you can't find them anywhere outside of that New England area. So
Mm-hmm. So and 2 pounds of Maine red snapper hot dogs on Amazon right now are going for $50. So supply and demand.
That's crazy.
But I'm pretty sure if it's like that's gonna cover shipping, so it's got to be frozen and all that stuff. But I bet if you were like at say Walmart in Maine and they had them, they'd probably be a lot cheaper. Um, that being said, let's move on to something I know you and I both have had, and is super popular in Maine. In fact, it even has a Maine's legislature has decreed it so. Can you guess what we're going to be talking about here?
No, man. What?
So, Maine's legislature has decreed that blueberry pie made with wild Maine blueberries is the official state dessert.
Oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm. Um, and in fact, I had the number pulled up here. I want to say it was about 80% come from Maine as far as blueberries go.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. But I would feel like they would have to pick those at a certain season, because Maine gets cold
Oh,
pretty quickly, and then it stays cold for the majority of the winter into the spring.
mm-hmm. So I was wrong in my estimate there. Maine is the largest producer of wild blueberries in the world, but they only produce 10% of all blueberries in North America,
Wow, only
including wild and
10%.
cultivated. So even though they're the largest producer of them, they only make up 10% of the blueberries in North America, which is kind of interesting.
That does sound pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can do a lot of things with blueberries though.
Right.
And I think obviously the blueberry pie is the state dessert, but I
Hmm.
think they do a lot of blueberry pancakes too, don't they?
They do. And don't get me wrong, everybody who's watched this podcast or listened, they know I love pancakes. Pancakes are the bomb, okay? But
But
what about blueberry beer
I mean,
or
I
ale?
have had numerous amounts of blueberry beer because I obviously have brewed some, and my dad actually has a pretty good recipe that will definitely get you a little turnt, man.
Hmm.
And it's nice and it's a bluish purple color too, which makes it even better.
Yep. And
But
the thing I like about blueberry beer, it's it's almost like a dessert beer, but it's not too heavy and it's like the right amount of refreshing.
okay,
So,
I
because
guess it depends
yeah,
on how much because blueberry really is a hard flavor to get,
yeah,
and a lot of the times you get blueberry something, it's that artificial flavor.
you're not wrong.
So
I was fortunate enough I had these in Maine at like peak blueberry season.
oh
So
man, that's
I might have a better experience than what some people have, but
yeah.
I will say this. I would definitely have blueberry beer again.
I 100% have blueberry beer again,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's something that kind of goes along with blueberries too that's actually produced a lot in Maine as well, and that's maple syrup.
Yep, blueberry maple syrup also phenomenal.
So maple syrup, I didn't realize that Maine produces like a shit ton of maple syrup. Now, we'll talk about Vermont later on, but I've been to Vermont numerous times and I've been to a couple, syrup farms, maple syrup farms, and I didn't realize that Maine, but I could totally see why now, but I didn't realize that they produced that much. And they kind of have a small ass season because it
Hmm.
only goes for about like 2 months ish, maybe a month and a half, and it goes right with the whole entire picking of blueberries. Now, did you know that it takes like 5 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. It might even be more
Yes.
than that. It's probably like 8 gallons to one.
Yeah, because you have to burn off so much in the process.
Yeah, which is wild to think about. And it's also super cool to see the differences. Now, I don't know if we could talk about this when we get to Vermont, but I guess because Maine has a big ass thing of it too, we can kind of mention it here as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just seeing the differences of what you would get in the grocery store versus what you would get either in Maine or Vermont is super crazy. And that the different colors
Oh yeah.
of the syrup, some of them are super light, others can be very dark, but the viscosity of that liquid is runny as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that you get at, either a diner or that you find in the grocery store, it just like goops out because of all the preservatives that are in there. You get some fresh syrup, and that stuff runs out like water.
Yep. Yeah,
And
you got to pour it differently because I made that mistake when I was in Maine and we got breakfast somewhere and I was like that is way more syrup than I had intended.
yeah, but man, and it tastes different too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not as sweet as you would get when you compare it to the stuff that you get in the store or even at a diner,
Right.
but it has like the I don't think it tastes like I'm trying to think of what it would taste on your tongue. It's not like a sandpapery thing, but it's such a weird different flavor against your mouth.
It does have a different mouthfeel.
Yeah,
I
it's
do remember that. Um, but while you're trying to think of how to describe it, I did pull up the estimation of the maple syrup for the United States. Vermont is number one.
I thought so.
New York yielded the second highest amount with 800,000 gallons. And Maine landed third with 530,000 gallons.
That's still a lot though.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So we'll have to talk about this when we get to Vermont then, because they're number one, obviously, and we
right.
could probably show some pictures and show the differences, and maybe I can do some more research on the Vermont style.
Mm-hmm.
But man, maple syrup is freaking delicious.
So I was talking with one of our loyal foodies the other night, and we were talking about food. He was making a Korean dish, I believe, and I said I would try it, and then I would add it to the list of things I want to try, along with dongo, which is a dessert, you know, that we I found out about through a game called Monster Hunter Rise. And so he's like, "Yeah, but dongo is just essentially like unsweetened, flavorless rice balls. The syrup or the flavor comes from the syrup." And I was like, "Well, I have maple bourbon syrup here, but I don't think that's the same kind." But yeah, I
And
just the
what
whole
did he say to
syrup to
that?
he goes, "I would try it with maple bourbon syrup, even though it's not the same kind."
Okay,
Yeah. But the whole talk of syrup made me think of that conversation I had.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I would. Oh man, I now it makes me want to go get some like legit syrup, and I actually have uh, some from Ohio. One of my
Oh,
one of my friends went up there a couple months back and got some from her sister, and she was like, "Here, I know you enjoy this stuff." I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
fuck yeah. So did her
So
sister brew her own?
no, she went to one of the farmers markets and they had
Ah,
it sold up there. But I mean, it's still different than what you'd get from the normal, and it's not like really light. It's actually pretty dark, surprisingly
yeah.
enough. So,
Huh.
but yeah, it's I'm gonna use that on some waffles coming up.
Mm,
And I thought I might make some type of like syrup bread and say, "Hey, you gave me the syrup. Well, I made half of it, and here's some food."
yep, there you go. You gonna do chicken and waffles?
I have done chicken and waffles a couple times, so I don't know if I'll do it this time around with that syrup, but I might actually. I might give it a shot.
Nah, chicken and waffles is the shit.
Yeah, it is. I actually talked to my cousin the other day and never had it. And I'm like, dude, you've never had chicken and waffles before? I'm like, you're a truck driver. You drive all over the place and you've never had it? He's like, no, never even thought about it.
Yeah.
You go to the wrong places, my friend.
Yep. Nope. That's hard true. Hard true. We do have one more thing to close this out. And
I
this
think
is
we might.
something
Hey, before you finish, man, I think we might have to do a number two on this because there's still a bunch of other things that we can talk about
okay.
when it comes to Maine. And I mean, I told you about that root beer,
Yep.
that soft drink. Um, there's that bread in the can.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that
So
one.
whoopie pies. So I mean, I think we might have to do a number two. So
Okay.
finish out your thing. We can close out, and then we can go back for Maine part two.
Well, I was actually gonna finish out on the the Moxie Brewing Company,
Oh, so you want to talk about the beverage?
the beverage. Now, this
Okay.
is something I haven't had. It is the Coca-Cola brand. You can only get it in Maine and New England. Caramel color. Uh, and it looks like some of these have actually been discontinued. Their cherry cola, their cream soda, their orange cream, and Ted's root beer. So it looks like you can only get the regular Moxie. Let me see if I can pull up their homepage.
Which okay, so if we're gonna talk about this one, I'll let you know that it's one of those things that you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you've ever gone to Maine and you've had it, whether you like it or not, you will always remember that flavor. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, they said it's supposed to taste like root beer,
Hmm.
but to me, it did not taste like root beer at all. It tasted like licorice, and I'm not a big fan of black licorice, so it was like, ugh, that was gross. I'm never gonna drink this again.
So, Moxie, which is a noun, force of character, determination, or nerve, uh, as the first bottled carbonated beverage made in America, Moxie's distinctively different flavor has helped people live their life with Moxie since 1876. Um, Trying to pull up their lineup here to see what they have. Yeah, they only have the actual Moxie. They got rid of what looks like all their. Oh, they got Moxie and Diet Moxie.
Ew.
Yeah. Uh, there's
You
not
ever?
a whole lot going on here. You said some people said it tastes like root beer, but you got black licorice.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like a sweet and bitter flavor
Hmm.
because it's made with some type of root.
Okay.
So, I mean, you might be able to see whatever it is, and and it really is like a an acquired taste type deal that you'd probably drink it enough, you might enjoy it, but for someone who is not a native Mainer, I would say go into it with like an open mind and then not to be disappointed if you if you
If
don't
you
like it.
don't like it, yeah. I
But
uh I don't even remember seeing Moxie when we were in Maine, but also
it's
again wasn't looking for it.
true.
So like I
But
do remember seeing the red hot dogs and thinking those were a little weird. Um I remember so much seafood, so much really good seafood. But yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things. You remember Tab? Are you old enough for that?
Oh, let me think. Is it an old drink?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember it in the early 90s. My aunt used to drink it all the time, which was fucking gross.
Yeah,
You might be able to find it still. I mean, I haven't seen it on shelves in a while, but the last time I was at Kroger, up in the north where you live, I found a 6 pack of it that was still on the shelf, and they have diet tab too, which is even worse. But
So
it reminds me of that.
it looks like Tab was discontinued December 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's okay. Well,
Yeah.
tab is gross too.
Tab is
It's
gross too.
yeah. I'll tell our readers that and our listeners that tab was gross.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So with Moxie, I mean, again, go in there with an open mind, but you might be disappointed about 90% of the time after drinking it. So
Right. It's like a weird thing too, where some of these offshoot brands that you don't ever hear of, they're either supremely delicious and it's like everybody who's had it has kept it a secret for themselves, or they kind of got like the not such good taste.
yeah,
And it looks like today we did two that weren't such good taste.
true.
However, lobster, mm, blueberries, mm, blueberry beer, mm, maple syrup. I will take that. That is a win. You know what that is?
What's that?
That's four things better than all of Kansas.
I really don't get how Kansas has failed, but I totally get it. I mean, there's nothing there, so
Dude, like who makes a sloppy Joe with no goddamn sauce? And then to
people
add insult to injury, you throw two pickles on that bitch. Who? Who? Why? Where is the flavor? Where is the flavor? Like, I bet their food doesn't even have MSG. MSG is king of flavor.
oh God. Now you sound like some Asian. Oh, we got MSG for you.
The two of you who might know where that's from will understand why that's funny. Uh,
Well, I think we can close out this part one because there's definitely some part two to talk about, and
mm-hmm.
we can get that into the next round. So,
Man, I agree with you. Uh,
all right, well, foodies, let us know what you think so that those sex bots don't keep on commenting.
yeah,
Have they been coming around more?
it's a problem.
Oh man.
It's a problem. I haven't seen the same profile pictures in a while, so that's a plus. But
Oh,
it's a problem.
all right then.
Maybe that's how our one video has so many more views than all of us. So I am gonna end out with this fun little tidbit. So we found out through a loyal foodie of ours that we might accidentally be attached to something else, and by googling us you might get videos pop up on your video feed for something else. And I was like, well, maybe it works the other way. Maybe some dominatrix will see our videos and decide to open up a bakery and name it Whips and Butterscream. So let's
They
hope that can
do.
happen.
Give us some credit so that we
Give
can
us
have
some
more
credit.
people coming in.
Dude, just make me a cake every now and again. I'll be happy with that. Like,
She'll
I don't need money, just feed me.
Dude, she'll feed you all right. She'll whip your ass in the process too.
Probably.
You're gonna
So
finish this cake, you bad boy. Yes, yes, yes.
God
But
damn it. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I have been the Meat Viking, along with my lovely co-host.
Professor Porkloin.
And we'll see you back for part two of Maine.
All right.